I still remember the scent of jasmine that hung in the air that Sunday morning. It was March 15th, exactly 12 hours after I said yes to the man I believed was the love of my life. My name is Sophia. I'm 28 years old, and what I'm about to tell you has completely changed my perspective on trust, love, and especially on the people we think we know. The previous night had been perfect. Daniel, my now husband, had carried me through the door of our new home, giggling like two children. We had planned everything down to the smallest detail. The ceremony at my grandmother's church, the party at his family's farm, and our dream honeymoon in the Maldives. 3 years of dating, 2 years of engagement, and finally we were married. I felt like the luckiest woman in the world. When I woke up that morning, the first thing I noticed was the silence. There was no sound of his breathing beside me, nor the noise he always made when he moved in bed. I reached to the right side of the bed and found only cold sheets. Daniel had always been a weekend sleepyhead, so it struck me as odd from the first second. "Daniel?" I called, my voice still hoarse from sleep. "Baby, are you there?" The silence that answered me made my stomach tighten in a way I couldn't explain. It was as if my body knew something was wrong even before my mind processed it. I got up quickly and went to the bathroom. It was empty. I ran downstairs, still in my nightgown, looking for him in the kitchen, the living room, the office. Nothing. His car wasn't in the garage. My phone read 11:47 a.m., and I started to feel butterflies in my stomach that had nothing to do with hunger. I called him. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Every call went straight to voicemail. That robotic voice repeating, "The number you dialed is unavailable at this time," began to sound like torture. I sent WhatsApp messages. "Where are you? I'm worried. Please answer me." The messages only showed a tick, meaning they never reached him. That's when I decided to call his mother, Donna Carmen. She'd always been very close to Daniel, and if anyone would know where he was, it would be her. The phone rang 3 times before she answered with that sweet voice I'd known for 5 years. "Hello, Sophia dear. How is our newlywed?" she asked, and I could hear the smile in her voice. This made me even more confused. "Hi, Donna Carmen. Is Daniel there with you?" I asked, trying to sound casual, but I know my voice was shaking. "Daniel? No, daughter. I haven't seen him since last night at the party." "Why? Did something happen?" Her concern was genuine, and it only confirmed that she, too, had no idea where he might be. No. It's just that he left early and I don't know where he went. It must be some kind of surprise for me," I lied, trying to convince myself as much as her. After hanging up, I stood in the kitchen, looking at the party favors still scattered across the table. Small bags embroidered with our names and wedding date. Daniel and Sophia, forever. What cruel irony. Then the doorbell rang. My heart raced. I was sure it was him, returning with some crazy explanation and maybe flowers in his hands, apologizing for making me worry. I ran to the door, still barefoot, and opened it with a smile that faded the second I saw who was on the other side. It was Isabella, Daniel's younger sister, 24, whom I'd known since we started dating. She was standing in the doorway with an expression on her face that I'll never forget. A mix of pity, nervousness, and something that felt like guilt. "Isa, what are you doing here? Where's Daniel?" The questions came out of my mouth in a rush. She took a deep breath, looked around as if to make sure no one was watching, and said, "Sophia, we need to talk. Can I come in?" Her tone made my blood run cold. It wasn't the tone of someone bearing good news. It was the tone of someone coming to shatter your world and not quite knowing how to begin. She came in and sat on the living room sofa, where just a few hours earlier, Daniel and I had played with each other, imagining our married life. Isa fidgeted with her hands for what seemed like an eternity before finally speaking. "Sophia, Daniel, he's not coming back." The words came out of her like a direct shot to my chest. What do you mean he's not coming back? Issa, stop joking around. Where is he? I still believed it was some kind of misunderstanding or maybe a very bad joke. He left. He took a 6 a.m. flight to Miami, alone. Her every word was a stab. Miami? But Miami is where we were going. Our honeymoon is tomorrow. We were going to the Maldives together via Miami. I couldn't process that information. I literally couldn't understand how those words made sense together. Isabella swallowed hard and continued. Sophia, there's more. He didn't go alone. He went with Camilla. The world stopped. Literally stopped. Camilla had been my best friend for 10 years. The same Camilla who was my maid of honor, who held my hand when I was nervous before walking down the aisle, who gave a beautiful speech about our friendship at the reception. The same Camilla who helped me choose my wedding dress and who knew every detail of my honeymoon plans because I told her everything. You're lying, was all I could say, but my voice came out weak, almost a whisper. I wish I were lying, Sophia. I swear I did. Issa had tears in her eyes. They've been together for 6 months. I found out by accident last month when I picked up his phone to check the time and got a text from her. A text that, well, it wasn't from a friend. 6 months. They'd been together for 6 months, and I was there planning my wedding, tasting sweets, choosing flowers, dreaming about my future with the man who was cheating on me with my best friend. And she was there with me the whole time, helping me, smiling, pretending to root for my happiness. Why didn't you tell me before? I managed to ask. And I know, it sounded like an accusation. I tried to convince him to break up with her and tell you everything. I begged him, Sophia. I told him you deserved to know the truth. But he said he'd figure everything out after the wedding, that he couldn't cancel because it would hurt too many people, that things were too far along. Issa was crying openly now. I thought he was actually going to break up with her and try to make it work with you. I never imagined he would do that. Do this. Marry me knowing he loved someone else. Say I do in church, carry me home, sleep next to me on our first night as husband and wife, and then simply disappear to live what was supposed to be our dream with another woman. They took your honeymoon tickets. Camilla had access to everything because you asked her to help organize the trip, remember? Issa continued to destroy what was left of my world. The hotel in the Maldives, the flights, the tours, everything. She simply changed her name to yours. I remembered perfectly. Camilla had helped me with every detail of the trip. I'd given her access to my email and reservations because I trusted her completely. She knew all our plans, knew exactly where we'd stay, what we'd do. And now, she was there, in my place, experiencing what was supposed to be my honeymoon. There's a letter. Issa took an envelope out of her bag. Daniel asked me to give it to you. I took the envelope with trembling hands. My name was written in his handwriting, the same handwriting that spelled I love you on hundreds of little notes he left around the house. I opened it slowly, as if the paper might cut me. Sophia, by the time you read this, I'll be long gone. I know I don't have the right to ask for your forgiveness, and I'm not asking. What I did is unforgivable, and I know that. But I need you to know that I never wanted things to be this way. I loved you, Sophia. I truly loved you for a long time. But sometimes love fades, and sometimes it appears where we don't expect it. What I feel for Camilla is unlike anything I've ever felt. I couldn't fight it. I couldn't end our engagement because I knew it would destroy you and our families. I thought I'd be able to forget her after the wedding, but I can't live a lie. You deserve someone who loves you the way you deserve to be loved, and I'm not that person anymore. I'm sorry for being a coward. I'm sorry for not having the courage to end things sooner. The house is yours, of course. My parents will take care of the legal details, Daniel. I read the letter 3 times. 3 times trying to find some explanation that made sense. Some word that would make the situation less surreal. But there was none. It was exactly what it sounded like. My husband had abandoned me less than 24 hours after our wedding to run off with my best friend. Sophia, Isa tried to say something, but I interrupted her. Please go away, I need to be alone right now. She hesitated for a moment, but respected my request. She gave me a tight hug, whispered, "I'm sorry," in my ear, and left. I was left alone in the house that was supposed to be our home, surrounded by unopened wedding gifts, photographs from the party that had just lost all meaning, and the deafening silence of my new reality. I grabbed my phone and opened Camila's Instagram. The last photo was from 2 days ago, her toasting at my wedding reception with a radiant smile. In the comments, dozens of people said how beautiful she looked. What? A perfect bridesmaid she was, if only they knew. I called my mother. She answered on the first ring, probably still excited about her daughter's wedding. "Hi, my love! How is our newlywed? I still can't believe my girl got married." I couldn't say anything for a few seconds, just the sound of her breathing on the other end of the line. "Mom!" My voice broke. "You need to come here, please." "Sophia, what happened? Are you okay?" Daniel left. He left me. The silence that followed was broken, only by the sound of her dropping something. "What do you mean he left you? Daughter, you got married yesterday." "He ran away with Camilla for our honeymoon. Mom, please come here." "I'm leaving now." I hung up and threw myself on the couch. I started crying, but it wasn't the dramatic kind you see in a movie. It was the silent cry of someone trying to process a pain they haven't yet fully grasped. I thought about all the times Camilla had asked me details about Daniel. What he was like in his relationship, if we were happy, if I was sure he was the man for me. At the time, I thought she was being a curious and concerned friend. Now I understood she was gathering information. I thought about all the times Daniel came home strange, distant, and when I asked if everything was okay, he'd say it was work stress. I thought about the last few months, when our intimate life had cooled off, and he always had an excuse: tiredness, pressure from the wedding, work. The signs were all there. I was just so focused on being happy, so determined to believe in my fairy tale, that I didn't want to see it. My mother arrived in 40 minutes, record time considering she lived on the other side of town. She found me still in the same spot, still in my nightgown, still holding Daniel's letter. "Oh my God, Sophia." She sat down next to me and hugged me. "Tell Mommy everything." I told her, every detail, every word Isabella said, every line of the letter. My mother listened to me in silence, just stroking my hair like she used to do when I was a child and had nightmares. "And now, Mom? What do I do now?" I asked when I finished telling her everything. "Now we're going to take care of you, and then we're going to show this boy and this fake friend that you're not a person who gives up easily." The days that followed were like living in an alternate reality. People called to congratulate me on the wedding, and I had to explain that the wedding was over. The gifts kept arriving, and I didn't know what to do with them. My family took turns staying with me, as if I were a sick person who couldn't be alone. A week later, I received a message from Camilla. She had blocked my number, but sent it through Instagram. "Sophia, I know you must hate me, and I understand. I never wanted it to be this way. What happened between Daniel and me wasn't planned. Sometimes love happens, and we have no control over it. I hope one day you can forgive me. I've always been your true friend." I read that message 10 times. I've always been your true friend. How could someone write such a sentence after betraying a 10-year friendship in the worst possible way? I blocked her on all social media. I blocked Daniel too. I didn't want to know what places they were visiting, what restaurants they were trying. if they were happy living my dream. 2 months later, when I finally gathered the strength to start rebuilding my life, I discovered they were back together. A mutual friend posted a photo of the two of them at a restaurant here in town. Apparently, the overwhelming passion hadn't lasted long after the adrenaline of escape and betrayal. Daniel tried to contact me a few times. He sent flowers with a card asking to talk. He showed up at my door one night, saying he'd made the biggest mistake of his life and wanted a chance to explain himself. I didn't answer the door. I didn't read the cards. I didn't respond to the messages. Because I understood one thing during those difficult months. It didn't matter if he regretted it, if the relationship with Camilla hadn't worked out, if he realized he'd made a mistake. What mattered was that at the most important moment of our lives, when we were promising each other eternal love, he was already planning to abandon me for someone else. Today, almost a year later, I can say I'm a different person, stronger, more cautious, but also more aware of my worth. I've learned that sometimes the people we love most are capable of the greatest betrayals. I've learned that warning signs should be taken seriously, even when we'd rather ignore them. And most importantly, I've learned that my happiness can't depend on anyone but myself. I moved to a new city 3 months ago. I started a new job, made new friends, and am building a new life. A life where I don't have to look over my shoulder, where I don't have to wonder if the people around me are who they say they are. Does it still hurt? It still hurts. Especially when I see happy couples, or when someone mentions a honeymoon. But it's a pain that's teaching me to be a better person, more whole, more true to myself. If you're going through something similar, I want you to know that you will survive, that you are stronger than you think, and that sometimes the biggest disappointments in our lives end up being the greatest gifts because they free us from people who didn't deserve to be there in the first place. This is my story, the story of how I lost a husband and a best friend in 24 hours but found myself in the process.